Okay, today we will start with the Monte Carlo. So the Monte Carlo is simply a numerical method of solving problems by random sampling. So what's that in simple words? Well, the author of the primer of Monte Carlo, which is available in 1994, if you have time, you can check. He begins the explanation of the method with the figure I'm showing in this slide. So he says, in this universe, in this region, if we want to calculate the area of this polygon, so we choose some random points all around. Random points inside the polygon, and of course, as more points we choose, as more random points we generate, then closer will be the calculation of the area of the polygon in that part. So in few words, that's the way he explains on the utility of this method. But okay, in hydrology, how this is applicable? Okay, there are many ways. For example, you can use it, in sensitivity analysis, in which this kind of method is very popular, and in many other methods also. But today I will show you the way I use this method. Okay, this is a web page, very simple, in case you wanna know the basic steps of the Monte Carlo simulation. So as I told you, the basics of the Monte Carlo is like this. Let me read what is written in the chapter 19 of the Handbook of Hydrology, where they say it very clearly. They say Monte Carlo simulation is a method for obtaining the probability distribution of the outputs given the probability distribution of the inputs. Later, the analysis of the outputs consists of determining basic output statistics. So in general, that's the basics of the Monte Carlo method. As you can see in the figure, we have many outputs, x1, x2, x3 inside a model. Any model, it doesn't matter if it's too complex or too simple, and there are many possible outputs. So the Monte Carlo, what they do is first to estimate some probability distribution for the inputs introduced to the model produces the outputs, and then we analyze the outputs using any statistical measures. Can be either very simple, for example, the variance, the mean, and many things. Okay, so this is what I was explaining you. First, what we do is to assume that there are some probability distribution for the inputs. It can be either uniform, normal, or any other kind of distribution. So that's the key at the beginning, to select which of the distribution, and later from the distribution we have to select some random process to generate the outputs that I'm showing you here, in this case y1 and y2, and later based on those outputs, what we do is to analyze the outputs. So that is basically, in this process there are two parts very important. First is how to assign the kind of distribution. Usually when you don't know how the model works, what you do is to select some uniform distribution, and from that distribution what you do is to use some random generator to generate the outputs. So I will continue showing you what this page shows. Okay, so as I said, an important step in this process is the random generation of the numbers. You can either use Excel or use some other more complex generators. Usually Excel doesn't provide very good results. So in case you want something serious, then you have to make some modifications to the common random function in Excel. The random function in Excel is as simple as the function I'm showing here. I mean, the web page shows, because this is not my web page. that. So in general, the process is first to assume some input distribution for your inputs, for the inputs that you may not know, run the simulation, and then analyze the outputs from your model. That's basically Monte Carlo. For example, you can analyze your outputs based on the histogram as suggested in this web page. Also, you just generate and you can find out whether your histogram is too big, or I don't know. It's up to what you expected from your simulation, right? Let me open another one. Summary statistics. Okay, this is the final step of the Monte Carlo, which is to explain based on some statistics how your Monte Carlo works with very simple statistic formulas that are also available in Excel, right? And you can use also these statistic formulas, and you can try to assume to guide the user with uncertainty bounds, for example, based on the equations this web page shows. As I said before, standard deviation and any other parameters, right? And based on that, you can find just some confidence interval of all the outputs, all the universe of outputs that your model has provided you, right? So as simple as that. Basically, that's what Monte Carlo is. As I told you, I have used this web page because the explanation is very clear, very simple, and very practical. So if you know the basics of Monte Carlo explained clearly here, then I think you're able to go to further applications. In my case, what I do is I have a distributed model, distributed hierarchical model with many parameters.